Hey guys, starting over at 50 is not easy. It's been pretty rough the last few days, and we're going to talk about it. Hello, my kindred spirits, and welcome back to Life After 50, Hagatha's Cauldron. Today, I want to talk to you about something I think a lot of us can relate to, especially when we reach our 50s, and that is starting over. People love to tell you it's never too late to start over. And I believe that. I say it myself all the time. However, it's never too late to begin again. But here's the part we don't always talk about. Starting over at 50 is definitely not easy. It can be scary, it can be lonely, it can be frustrating, and there are days when you wonder if you even have the energy to start over again. Because by the time we reach our 50s, most of us have already lived through a lot. We've worked, we've raised families, we've loved people, we've lost people, we've made mistakes, and boy, have I made some. We've had successes, we've had disappointments, we've had plans that worked out beautifully, and we've had plans that completely fell apart. And somewhere along the way, life can take us in a direction we never expected. I thought I would have everything figured out by now when I was younger. I had this idea of what being in my 50s would look like. I thought everything would be settled. I thought I would know exactly where I was going. I thought my career would have settled, my finances would have settled, my family would be settled. I thought life would somehow become easier because I had gotten older and wiser. Well, life had other plans. And maybe some of you can relate to that. You reach your 50s and suddenly you're thinking, wait a minute, I'm starting over again? Maybe you're looking for another job. Maybe you're thinking about moving. Maybe your relationship has changed. Maybe your children have grown up and your house suddenly feels different. Maybe you've lost someone. Maybe your finances have changed. Maybe you're taking care of your parents. Maybe you simply woke up one morning and realized, I don't want to live the next 20 years or 30 years exactly the way I've been living. And that realization can be very frightening. But it can also be this beginning of something incredible. Starting over does not mean that you failed. This is something I've really had to think hard about. Sometimes when we have to start over, we automatically think something went wrong. We think, I should be further along. I should have figured this out. I shouldn't be dealing with this at my age. Who decided where we're supposed to be at 53? Who decided you have to have it all figured out by 50? There isn't some magical rule book that says by 30 do this, by 40 accomplish that, and by 50 you're done. Wishful thinking. Life simply doesn't work that way. Sometimes the thing that you thought would last forever simply doesn't. Sometimes the career you thought you'd have forever actually changes. Sometimes people leave. Sometimes opportunities disappear. And sometimes new opportunities show up that you never ever expected. Having to begin again doesn't erase everything you've already accomplished. You're not starting from ground zero. You're starting with experience. You're starting with the knowledge. You're starting with the lessons. You're starting with everything that you've had to endure and you've survived. And that is very different from starting from nothing. Starting over with work after 50, one area where starting over can feel especially difficult is your career. Looking for work at 50 can be very, very discouraging. Just ask me about that. You can have years and years of experience and you know that you're capable. You know that you would be an incredible employee, and yet you're still submitting applications. You're still interviewing. You're still waiting for emails, and you're still waiting for someone to call. And sometimes nothing happens. That's the difficult part because every time they say, we'll call you once we finish these last few interviews, and you never get that call because you feel like you're too old. And because after a while, you can also question yourself, is it my age? Is it my resume? Did I say something wrong in the interview? Why haven't they called me? I'm learning that I cannot allow somebody else's decision about whether or not to hire me to determine my worth. A rejection doesn't erase decades of experience. A missed opportunity doesn't mean another opportunity isn't coming. Sometimes the hardest part is continuing to believe in yourself. You're waiting for someone else to give you a chance. It is okay to be scared of change. And here is another thing I've learned. You can want something different and still be scared when change actually comes. We can say, I want a new job. I want a new home. I want a new beginning. I want more financial security. I want to grow. And then suddenly an opportunity comes along and you're thinking, oh my Lanta, do I actually really want to do this? That's so normal because familiar doesn't necessarily mean happy. Familiar means predictable, and starting over means stepping into something you can't completely predict. But I'm learning that fear doesn't always mean stop. Sometimes fear means this is new. This is why I've been working on manifestation. This connects with the manifestation journey we've been doing here on this channel. I'm learning that manifestation isn't simply writing something down 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the afternoon, and 9 times at night. Those practices, they do help us focus, but manifestation also requires the action. If I'm manifesting a new opportunity, I need to look for that opportunity. If I'm manifesting financial stability, I have to make decisions that move me toward it. If I'm manifesting growth for this channel, I have to turn on the camera and create videos. Sometimes I have to do things even when I'm scared. That's the part of manifestation we don't always talk about. You have to meet your intentions halfway. Willow and Luna remind me to live today. And then there are these two, Willow and Luna. They remind me that sometimes we make life much more complicated than it needs to be. Willow isn't worrying about next year. Luna isn't sitting there wondering, where am I going to be 5 years from now? They're thinking about today, right here, 5 minutes ago. They're thinking about food, their treats, their walks, their attention, and probably getting into something. Sometimes I need that reminder because when you're starting over, it's very easy to become overwhelmed thinking about everything that needs to happen instead of asking myself, April, what can you do today? Maybe today I can submit an application. Maybe today I can make a video. Maybe I can clean one area of my house. Maybe I can work in my garden. Maybe I can go for a walk with Willow and Luna. Maybe I can put some money aside. It does not have to be a huge accomplishment. Small steps count too. Maybe this isn't just the ending. If you're going through something right now and your life doesn't look the way you thought it would, maybe this is not your ending. Maybe 5 years from now, you'll look back at this exact period of your life and say, that's when everything started changing. We do not always recognize a new beginning while we're going through it. Sometimes it feels like uncertainty, and that's where I am. I'm figuring things out, and I'm learning, and I'm trying, and I am making mistakes, but I'm changing my mind. I'm manifesting. I'm hoping. I'm continuing to move forward. I don't know exactly where everything is going to lead, but I know that I'm not finished. Here is a simple message for anyone starting over. You are watching me right now, and if you're starting over at 50 also, I want you to remember this. Give yourself some grace. You don't need to fix the entire life. You don't have to fix your entire life this week. You don't have to know what's next to know what the next year looks like. Sometimes you just need to figure out your next step and then take it. When you're ready, take another. And if you've had a bad day, Tomorrow you can always try again. That's starting over. It isn't one giant decision, it's hundreds of little decisions to keep moving forward. Here is a journal prompt for my kindred spirits. Before we finish today, I want to give you a journal prompt. Today, tonight, to this afternoon, write this down. If I could begin one part of my life again without worrying about my age or what anybody else thought, what would I change? Then underneath that, write, what is one thing I can do this week to begin? Don't worry about how you're going to accomplish that entire dream. Just find that first step, because that first step matters. I'm not going to pretend that it is. There are going to be very frustrating days. There are going to be setbacks. There are going to be moments when we question ourselves, but there are also going to be new opportunities, new adventures, new people, new memories, and hopefully some dreams that we haven't even thought of yet that come true. So I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to keep building this next chapter, and I hope you build yours right alongside me. If you're comfortable with sharing, leave me a comment and tell me, are you starting over in the same area of your life tonight? Are you starting over in the same area of your life right now? And what is the one thing you're hoping to change? Thank you so much for spending the time with me. Thank you for being part of the Cauldron Circle. And always, always remember, you haven't run out of time. It's never too late to begin again. And until next time, my kindred spirits, blessed be, so mote it be, and so it is. Bye.